And, one of the stories or one of the things that we were talking about as a staff before the show is that, LSU has a real opportunity to make a run at some of these guys that may, when you think of them, you think of when they signed and you just kind of labeled them 3-year players, right? I would put like Brian Thomas and Mason Smith in that category. And Mason Smith, look, he still has a great opportunity to make a run, show that he's healthy, and really kind of insert himself into discussion of being a first-round pick. His size and speed and strength is a rare combination that you're going to be really hard-pressed to find year in, year out. So people are going to really look at him as kind of an outlying prospect. And, it only takes one team to say, we got to have that. And that might be the case for Mason Smith, and he ultimately might decide that he's going to be a first-round pick and he doesn't come back. But I think LSU in an NIL world has a great opportunity to make a run at Mason Smith and really show him like, hey, man, if you can really get over this injury, both mentally and physically, which it's looking like it's going to take you up until about the halfway point of the year to do that physically, depending on how you play after that and what you do to your draft status, you should seriously consider, and look, who the hell am I to tell Mason Smith what to do? This is not coming from me. I'm saying that this could be LSU's angle in an NIL world where routinely LSU not only would lose players that were on the fence of, being first-round picks, they would lose players that were on the fence of being drafted. It's kind of the reputation of the program. And not to say that that is the reputation of the program now, but they could really change the narrative if they could get in and keep guys like Mason Smith, who seems like, on a lot of draft boards, he's projected to be a first-round pick. I don't know if, through 2 games if he still is, but going into the season, people have him tabbed as a first-round talent that, is going to be battling injury. It looks like not battling, but like just trying to overcome it, like trying to get past it. And it's
wow. This latest CBS mock draft has Malik going 7 overall.
Like, I don't know if you can compete with that.
Oh, I think you lose Malik and Mekhi Wingo at this point. I don't think that's up for debate. But Brian Thomas?
See, like, I even think Wingo, like, unless Wingo is a top 60 pick.
Mason Smith is the 32nd overall pick.
Yeah,
on this
Coach,
draft.
that is a great
to the 49ers too.
Negotiating chip to talk to Mason Smith and say, right now, you are projected to go 32 overall, which is a incredible life that you can make for yourself. You are a millionaire. Right now, you're a millionaire. But if you come back, you could change the life of your grandkids and become a top 10 pick, show the whole college football world that you're healthy. And oh, by the way, we're going to cut you a deal and get you a deal for X amount. Mm-hmm. And you spend, and look, this is where LSU spends NIL. Like, they had a plan in place to pay for Colin Simmons. Don't get me wrong. If a guy in recruiting comes along where, he's revolutionary and he's somebody that you say, look, you got to have this guy, you put the deal together. But really where LSU has made strides, look at the cover of Sports Illustrated right now. Livy Dunn and Angel Reese with the title, Why LSU Owns the NIL Space in Women's Sports. What a marketing tool that is, right? But what the narrative says is that LSU really pays their on-campus athletes. No bigger campus athlete next season than Mason Smith. And right now, if he's projected at 32, I'm not saying that Mason Smith can't move that number up for the next 10 weeks. He could possibly go from 32 to 10.
$28 million is the difference between the top pick and the 32nd pick.
There you go.
And if you want to play that game with Mason Smith, that would be an indication of your season. If he moves himself into the top 10, yes. LSU defense pretty much got it figured out.
Absolutely.
And then go.
Not only that, LSU for like their own calls is desperate for defensive linemen next year.
Yeah.
Like if Mason Smith would come back, that would cover up a lot of misses in recruiting. So, I mean, it's in LSU's best interest to try and put together a pitch for him that says, hey, look, we're going to make it worth your while to come back. You know, like, we got people going to class for you. We got money for you. We got car for you. We got everything ready for you. And whatever else you need. You know, like, I mean,
Make it strictly about football.
make him a pro.
Right.
I mean, make him a pro. Right? Like, you know, you're going to play for the LSU Tigers that are, you know, a part of the SEC West, that you are being compensated like you're in the NFC South. And I would do the same thing to Brian Thomas, because there's got to be pro scouts looking at Brian Thomas thinking,
Oh, drooling.
we are going to steal this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, like, let him flirt with the draft and watch how many games they play around Brian Thomas. Or you're LSU and say, hey, BT, come back to campus for 1 year. Move that draft stock as a projected mid, late,
Second rounder.
somewhere in there, and make yourself a bona fide top first round pick, somebody's number one selection, and change your life. And oh, by the way, here's X amount.
Yep. Looking at another mock draft, Mekhi Wingo is the 32nd overall pick.
There
Yeah.
you go, coach. I mean, LSU has a great negotiating great negotiating seat to start the conversation and say, fellas, you're the nucleus of this team. And right now you are projected at being late to early first, second round picks. That is really good money. That is a life that a lot of people would sign up for today. What I'm trying to offer you is a better life that you can earn over the next 365 days just by coming back. You put cash in your pocket, you improve your draft stock, you make the football team better, you give yourself a chance to be a part of a championship program, or at least a lot of success from a team standpoint, and you get more money along the way. Like, this is where LSU, in my opinion, they got to win those offseason conversations like they have been doing. They've been very impressive with their retention. I think one of the positive parts around Brian Kelly's program is, man, nobody really leaves. Nobody really transfers. Nobody.
You're getting people in. And that's the other side of the coin, if they're not able to get some of these guys back, because I don't think you're going to hit on everybody you just mentioned. Like, there's a good to high chance that Mekhi Wingo goes, that Mason Smith goes, and I think Brian Thomas is probably 50-50, but if you want... It's
two or three.
Right, if you can go 2 of 3, but also, if you're LSU, you might have to... Well, they've had success in the portal on the defensive line. Look at, they've gotten Mekhi Wingo, Jordan Jefferson. Like, you've seen them bring in people on the defensive line because, as you said, the recruiting class doesn't feel like it's ready to step in and play now for what they've done on the defensive line for next year. But they have people in the lineup that I know will step up and play. Like we talked about Deshaun Womack yesterday. But interior line, they're going to have to go find some guys in the portal if you're not able to swing a Mason Smith or a Mekhi Wingo back to campus. Mm-hmm. But they've had proven success there, so they'll find, like, there's probably people on the board now that they're looking at, for next year. Like, that's the other part of the gig where there may be dead periods in recruiting. There's no dead period
not in the
portal.
program.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's never a dead period in the program. You better be recruiting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That whiteboard's never blank.
No way. And I mean, you scratch a name, replace a name.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it can't.
Here to here,
Yeah,
and then
like,
here's a new one.
you lose him, so what do you do now? Right? Like, we got to get him. You know what I mean? It's an endless process. I mean, the faucet really never turns off.
No, and that's what I think they've added with the portal is what they've done, because at least in my mind, it feels like it's transitioning from, especially if you lose the guys that we're talking about losing, on like the LSU defensive line front, it's transitioning from focusing on the defensive back room for the portal to now, like, okay, it feels a little bit easier to go find some defensive linemen that can plug and play and are older guys, and then you start building up on that recruiting class, because where they missed previously or didn't recruit as well on the defensive back front, that's what they did. They went to the portal. Now you have some swings and misses on the defensive line front. Okay, let's go to the portal and replace that. Then we'll get back on recruiting the defensive line. And at some point under this Brian Kelly tenure, it will all come together as one, and then you're just cherry picking out the portal, where it's 1 or 2 guys, and you're keeping everybody in retention. You're trying to get people to not steal your players out the portal. Mm-hmm. And that's where LSU wants to be, I would imagine, is do it the the natural way as opposed to this plug and play way. But it's a blessing to have it if you're an LSU fan, where it feels like your season's never really shot, because people forget what did Brian Kelly take over?
Oh my gosh!
I mean, it
38 players. Was it 37 players?
Who was playing quarterback against Kansas State?
John Trey.
Kirkland. He hadn't played quarterback since high school.
Who did he hit on that long? Was it Chris Hilton?
It was Chris Hilton.
Chris Hilton.
As we went into the night, Chris Hilton into the night.
That was a nice little of optimism. Like, oh, he could run.
Yeah.
Next year,
17 can run.
poor Brian Kelly in the booth was just like, oh God, I need to leave actually and start doing some work.
Fellas, I gotta go.
Yeah, he was on the phone the whole time, like, oh God.
You got a vomit bag?
Yeah, I knew it was bad, but
I gotta get these recruits in before signing day.
yeah, it looked like I was watching a 1A high school state championship.
Still
35 players on the field.
Brutal.
Still signed a top 5 class.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the power of the brand. I mean, I'm not saying that, they did great work.
Yeah.
I mean, they did an incredible job of bringing them in. But, I mean, still, you're shopping something that everybody really wants. You're selling playing time at LSU.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that's why I can't believe how much they miss on defensive back.
Yeah.
It's like you're selling, like, who wouldn't want to be a part of that room? You just take the official visit and walk into the defensive back room, and the images on the wall are just like, oh my God.
Can I get on the wall?
Like we don't even.
We got room for you.
Like I was in there a couple weeks ago, and like you don't even think like Greg Jackson, the '80s All Pro, played with the New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, was All SEC. Was a guy that would knock your head off in the defensive back. Like you think about some of these guys that have walked through that room, and then you start going down the list of Corey Webster and Travis Daniels and LaRon Landry and Jesse Daniels, Eric Reed,
Chad
Tyrann
Jones.
Mathieu, Pat Peterson, Morris Claiborne. Ron Brooks, Daryl Simon. Greedy Williams, Grant Delpit,
Delpit's getting his foot.
Derek Stingley. Delpit looked good on Sunday.
He looks great.
Christian
He looks
Fulton.
Fantastic.
Christian Fulton's struggling right now.
Yeah, but at
It's his
times
third
he's
year in the
hurt.
league.
He's
he's
hurt.
paid like a premier corner in the league.
Titans love him too.
Yeah, they got to. At times he's been shut down.
Yeah.
Kevin Tolliver II.
Oh, jeez.
He's my guy.
What a guy. Rashad Robinson.
Rashad Robinson. Bring him back. Bring back
Mike
the Mammoths.
Evans.
Yeah, locked him down.
Mike Evans
Oh.
still having nightmares
Hell
about
of a
Rashad
sell for
Robinson.
Mike Evans that night.
Both of them did. Didn't both of them have their time in the sun with Mike Evans? Mm-hmm. Both Rashad Robinson and Terrence Tolliver and
Kevin Tolliver.
And Kevin Tolliver. I definitely remember Rashad Robinson.
In the rain, with the
the
sleeves.
Put him in hell.
Put him in hell. Like, he was committing personal fouls because Rashad was locking him up. He
Yeah.
needs to sign a one-day every Sunday and go guard Mike Evans for whatever team is playing him. And he would quit. He'd retire.
It's like Marshawn Lattimore.
Yes.
Like
Just in his dome.
Trey White.
Trey White.
Oh, my goodness. Trey White might be the steadiest, the best. Like,
Ryan Volk, thank you.
Yes. I mean, but that goes to show the depth of what you're talking about.
Papa Craig.
Well, that's why I just
5-star.
I can't believe you can't get
Sell
that
that.
dude.
Yeah.
Like, how does Desmond Ricks leave you in the altar?
I mean,
Well, that's the flip side of NIL, right?
yeah, I think that's
Yeah, but like, what did it come down to? Like,
Is he playing?
I haven't seen him.
no.
He'd be playing at LSU.
They play
What are you
Arnold.
playing?
They play Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Arnold is bad. Like, he had probably
He's been struggling.
5 pass interference against Texas.
Well, hold him.
I mean, they were going
Grab
right
him.
at him.
Yeah, and they were going
right
shots.
at him.
I mean, they went
Explosive.
at Kool-Aid too. They were catching it over his head too.
Texas's personnel was better than Alabama at certain spots. This was like LSU, Florida State, Texas, Alabama. LSU was not winning one-on-ones that they usually win. Alabama was not winning one-on-ones that they usually win. And not only were they not winning them, they were getting pummeled.
Yeah, they were getting
like
punished.
LSU was. Same
Yeah.
thing. LSU getting run over, stiff-armed, blocked down the field. Same thing that was happening to Alabama. It was just rare to see the SEC teams not have the dominant players.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of you stay in the fight long enough, and it's like, oh, Superman can bleed, especially like against an Alabama team where Texas started to believe, like, oh, we're better than they are.
I think they started to believe when the receiver caught the ball on the sideline and the Alabama safety comes through with the, like, he tries to kill him. hits him on the shoulder pad. And you would think, like, in the past, it would probably be like
the major right Florida hit.
Him would get knocked through the sideline. He hits him, and he just bounces off, goes for a first down. It's like, damn, like, we don't have it no more, coach.
I think we're good.
Let's go sit down.
Go. Thanks for tuning in to our premium LSU content right here on YouTube. If you want more of it, subscribe below.